You're reading that right. Nintendo just revealed the Zelda movie's release date in the most Nintendo way possible. Well, it doesn't really matter how they revealed it. Either way, it's on the deck right now. And so here we have kind of the graphic announcement for this. There's no further information about who the director is, about who the studio is involved with this. There's really nothing more than there will be a live action movie and it's coming out in 2027. Now, from here, we're not even sure if this is going to be an American production, if this is going to be made in the West, or if this is going to be made in Japan, similar to how the Yu Yu Hakusho live action movie was, pretty well executed over there. They tend to do all right with it because they're not afraid to, do the suspension of disbelief thing, even if it doesn't look fantastic in cinema. The way that we do things here with our over CGI'd things like She-Hulk, have an unnecessary amount of computer generated graphics inside of them. Whereas Japan is kind of okay using those things as an accessory from time to time, and they may not look as polished, but again, the suspension of disbelief. So we may end up seeing that with the Zelda movie here, with there's more practical effects, physical props, more things to interact with. They may return to New Zealand. New Zealand seems to be a place that looks a bit like Hyrule, kind of like how it looked like the Lord of the Rings, Shire, and Rivendell, and all these wonderful places that they went within the story itself. Perhaps we'll get to see this in the Zelda live action movie. I personally don't know if this is going to be a success or not. A lot of conversation on the internet about this, and especially in the replies, has been we don't trust this. Nintendo's going pretty woke. I've yet to see the wokeification of Nintendo in its entirety, but I do see the touches of Western influence coming through. We heard from several manga writers how difficult it is these days, and anime producers how difficult it is today to deal with the West because of how religious we are with our censorship and how we don't want to see certain things and blah 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 blah. Even though that's not you and me, that's rather the blue-haired weirdos that these corporations hire to represent them around the world. And for whatever reason, they accept the catastrophes that they create and deal with the aftermath, sort of like what happened with Rachel Zegler and the Snow White movie. This follows a trend of making things live action that really don't need to be live action. I would guarantee that if you sat down and did a 3D animated the Legend of Zelda movie in the style of Tears of the Kingdom, I think that would be perfectly fine. That cell shaded style that was nearly perfected in the Wii and the Wii U really hasn't betrayed the Zelda brand whatsoever. Again, it doesn't look like this Unreal Engine perfect graphic stuff that you're getting out of Assassin's Creed things that, you know, again, the realism is there, but the game functions terribly and the graphics, skeeve out now and then because they're too real and the game engine doesn't know how to deal with that sometimes. We've seen people just fly into the sky because of the snow effects, disagreeing with where their feet are being placed on the map. So it's the old Bethesda mess. So here we have the situation with the Zelda movie. Now you're gonna have to let me know down in the comments below what you think about this. If you think they're gonna go through with a Western studio to do this, I don't know why they would, but you never know. We have a Naruto movie in the pipeline apparently through Hollywood, so maybe Zelda's going to get her turn at it too. Honestly, I would really prefer to see this in 3D, in CGI, in that cell shaded style that I was talking about there, rather than a live action thing. I don't think they can pull it off. When you take a look at how cinema itself around the world is treated right now, it's geared a little too highbrow adult. It's a little too quippy. It's a little too millennially. Just about everywhere in the world right now. And this is probably not going to escape that. And I don't know about you, but I don't really want to hear Link, chitter chattering about, you know, Among Us, right? He's obviously going to talk in this too, so you got to get used to that. It's not going to be ha yeah throughout the whole movie. He's going to be talking, so you got to get used to Link talking. That's going to be another thing you got to get over. And we have to cross our fingers that Hyrule stays Hyrule and that it doesn't become some wild, twisted version where you've got all these crazy things like Transformers running around in it and stuff the West thinks will be entertaining to people with short attention spans. You know, you have to remember that these properties, when they fall into the hands of Hollywood, they do whatever they want with them. It doesn't matter the source material. We've shown you time and time again that none of the people in charge of the MCU were ever challenged to read the comic books. And in fact, they were told not to be influenced by the previous writings and previous entries in these franchises, be they printed or recorded on video. All right? Now that's a piece of information we need to keep in mind here as we go forward with this movie from about Zelda and Link going on their adventure here is that Hollywood, if they get a hold of it, they're definitely going to change it backwards and forwards. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if The Legend of Zelda became much more literal and poor old Link gets to be the guy on the side that does all the stabbity stuff while Zelda handles all of the really important work. It's one of those things where, again, it doesn't offend who the character is, but it misses who the character is. Do you understand? Zelda doing the heavy lifting of their adventure isn't out of character, but it defeats the point of the character. Link is supposed to be her guardian and savior. That is the whole point why he keeps being resurrected, why he's timeless, this kind of thing. And why she has this resurrection is they're forever tied together in this sense. So one exceeding the other's purpose, not good, not good. And you and I both know that that's possible. We've seen it happen over and over and over again in these franchises, these bait and switches where, oh, we're going to get this really cool male character. Psych! It's all about the female character. We saw this with Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. Had nothing to do with our good friend. Uh, I always forget who Hawkeye is. I want to call him Jeremy Renner because he's become that character in my mind. So in my mind, Hawkeye is Jeremy Renner in the Marvel universe, not his identity that I can't remember right now. But that's what you're going to end up with this right here is that if the Western studio gets a hold of it, Link is going to be an accessory to the story. He is not going to be the focus as he is in the games. Yes, there are games that focus on Zelda. We just had recently had one, but in the greater overall mythos of the Legend of Zelda, the story is about Link rescuing her. And that's how it always should be. It shouldn't change from that. That's a good story to tell. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I can't wait for them to try and humanize Ganon, though. That's going to be hilarious. To try and explain that Ganon, well, he was just misunderstood. That Ganon fella, he was just misunderstood. The poor guy. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Would they go with the giant pig version, do you think? Can they resist going with the giant pink version? I always like the dark green skin ginger guy over the big pig. I didn't like the big pig. You'll have to let me know how you feel about the big pig down in the comments below. And as always, guys, good luck out there.